Lee Johnston, Ian Hutchinson, two of the most fierce TT riders. In 2017, although their TTs ultimately ended up the same way, there was a stark difference in how they got there. During final practice, Lee crashed out at Greba Bridge on board his Paget's Honda and would miss the rest of the week with a fractured back, coccyx, finger and a bleed to the brain.
Yeah, we went to the TT. I wouldn't say massively prepared, but I was massively determined to win the TT, yeah. And my theory was that I was going to lead practice every night in the super short bike, which I'd done to that point and was still doing to that point. But obviously, yeah, I was the first man into Nobles as well, so...
Hutchies, on the other hand, could not have been better. Wins in the superbike and superstock class, it looked like the senior was his to lose. Fast forward to 2018 and both RST riders have signed for the factory Honda racing team. And with Hutchinson still out due to his injuries, it would mean Lee Johnston would be the sole test rider during pre-season. After a shakedown test at Monteblanco in Spain, it was time to start dialing in the new Honda at Castle Combe, but with the weather not playing ball, the majority of day one was spent in the garage. When the weather finally cleared up on day two, it meant the team would have to try and squeeze 2 days of testing into one afternoon. It's safe to say it was going to be a busy afternoon.
Yeah, we struggled a lot with weather in testing. The first test at Castle Combe was pretty much a write-off. First day we didn't ride at all, and the second day we only got like half an afternoon. So we did a lot on the second day. Worked right to 5 o'clock when the track shut. So that's put us in a pretty decent position, I'd say, to go to the Northwest. It's different because all the testing happens for us on a track, and we can't go and test at the Northwest or test at the TT, so you always change things. So fundamentally you're always trying to ride on a track at certain spots to emulate certain parts of the road racing, so a lap time and stuff necessarily isn't as crucial as getting the bike the feeling you want. So that's what we've been working on.
With time on the bike so essential to a road team, the boys headed to Cadwell Park where conditions couldn't have been better. In the absence of Hutchinson, the team drafted in retired RST rider Steve Mercer. Steve had hung up his levers at the end of last year, but the lure of the potential of riding a full factory bike round the Isle of Man TT was just too much.
The last two or three laps, it just started completely unjumping. It started like running the kick. Yeah, like it's damp under there. And like the first couple laps, third point, you can't see what. You can't see what's what, can you? No, you can have to pass me like that.
With the sun shining and the track in perfect condition, it was essential to make the most of it. The life of a motorcycle road racer is one built on compromise, especially at the TT. You want stability for the straights, yet quick handling for the turns. You want a stiff chassis, yet it needs to be soft enough to absorb those bumps of the road. To find the perfect setup, the riders and mechanics work tirelessly to find that fine line of compromise.
Shall I bring? Let me set them to 6.
But talk isn't always so technical.
Teresa, I've got a receipt for 80 quid. Who do I give it to?
Sorry?
I've got a receipt for 80 quid
Receipt for what?
for parking at the TT press launch. Who do I give it to? Rebecca?
Don't to me.
You?
I don't do riders' expenses.
What's your job again?
I don't...
I tell you a story about Big Neil when I on the boat now? I know a guy, Grant Dalton, he's called, from New Zealand, and he runs the America's Cup team for New Zealand. They won the America's Cup, and he's fucking real spot on bloke and everything. But Big Neil, my mechanic, I took him to the Classic TT, and he helped this Grant Dalton with his Classic bike and stuff. He says, "Fuck Neil, I'd love to take you out to the boat sometime and you see the boat." So he got Neil onto the rib that rides along beside it, like with the talking crew and all. Fucking Neil's loving it, but Neil's got a Snide Amiga, and they're sponsored by Amiga. So the boss man from Amiga's there, and he's going, "Oh, hi, Neil, the big posh cut." And he goes, "Oh, I see you've got one. I think it's a Snide one of them." So he goes, "Oh, very good, watch that." He says, such the age. And Neil goes, "Oh, thank you, yeah, I've loved it. Cost him about 30 quid in Thailand." And the boy never even noticed, hey. We did some laughing.
In the short break between testing and the Northwest 200, we caught up with Lee at his home in Halifax. Away from the track, things had changed dramatically in the off-season with the arrival of Lee's son Jesse. I wondered if parenthood had changed his approach to this year's TT, and whether he'd considered stopping it altogether.
I think it doesn't change your riding in a sense, but it changes your attitude towards life. Do you know what I mean? I know I come across really laid back and everything, but I'd say I'm quite selfish. As every bike racer is selfish. You know what I mean? If I get up in the morning and my time schedule is to do this or do that or train here or do this, that would have been it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm like, oh, I need to do this with Jesse and give Christy a chance. And I think it's helped me mentally just relax and realise that I'm still really hungry for riding a motorbike, but there is a whole big world out there, do you know what I mean? And we get sucked in this little goldfish bowl of thinking that that's the only thing that matters. And I think that's why you see so many dads come good when they do that, do you know what I mean? They just chill out. Like Johnny Ray has to be an amazing example, do you know what I mean? And I've spent a lot of time with him in the winter, even in Australia, and seen the way he is with his kids, and do you know what I mean? Tash and everything, the way they are as a unit is amazing. And I think that's a big part of his life. Do you know what I mean? Because when you get away from riding the bike, you can just switch off, and that's something else. Because the baby just distracts you fully. Do you know what I mean? Any other time, it could be somebody talking or whatever, but you can still think about motorbike racing. Whereas Jesse doesn't give a shit what I do at the TT. Do you know what I mean? He just wants his bottle and his nappy change, and that is it. So yeah, you just completely zone out.
But you've not thought about stopping?
No, I don't. I can't see why or what. Do you know what I mean? There's loads of people there with families, and I know there'll be loads of people that would look at me and think it's selfish or it's hard. But before me and Christy had a baby, or before Christy even met me, do you know what I mean? That was my job, and she knew that was my job, and she'd never ever even dream of asking me to stop or say anything. And God willing, I'll have a long career and come out the other side and do something else. You know what I mean? I've got loads of other interests in life, and that's the plan. But yeah, I'm only 29 years old. You know what I mean? I'd like to at least race till mid to late 30s, and then see what I want to do after that.
After chatting with Lee, I hopped in the car and headed just up the road outside Leeds to see Hutchie, a man who'd not touched a bike since the senior race last year. I wanted to know what exactly it was that was the driving force behind him wanting to race again this year.
I love winning the TT at the end of the day, and I've had two massive injuries, not through my own fault, you know. So if I was like a crasher and I kept crashing, and it's like my fifth crash at the TT, I'd be going, "What are you doing? You're obviously fucking, you're not made for this, even though you're winning, you know, you can't keep going like this." But I haven't. I've been going, I think I've done 10 TTs, because obviously I missed quite a few. So 10 TTs, and this is the first time anything's ever happened, so it's not like I'm a fucking loony.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I've won 16 races. I'm the third most successful rider. It's not, you know, it just don't, it all outweighs not giving in. I think I went from 2006 to 2010 without finishing a race off the podium. And then again, when I came back from 15 up till now, I've never finished a race off the podium until that 600 thing this year. So what's your ultimate goal with it? Do you have an ultimate goal, or are you just riding it because you Not really. I mean, 16's a big number now. When I hurt myself last time and I was on 8, I wasn't satisfied with 8 TTs at all. I wanted to come back and win some more. 16, it's a weird thing because for years and years it's been Joey, and then on 26 totally out on his own, and then 14 down to Mike Aylward. So it's like no one's been getting there. Nobody's really made that step, and then John came along and he got there, and then it looks like he's at an end, so he ain't going to get to Joey's number. And then myself and Michael have just started totting massively and bridge that gap between.
So what's Michael?
15.
Right.
So you've now got from Halewood, Michael, me, John, and then Joey. There's 5 in between that 14 and 26 now.
Yeah.
Or 5 of us from 14. So it's not quite like anyone stood out on their own anymore. So I want to win more, basically.
The bikes are prepared, and so are the riders. Come Saturday, the RST Superbike race kicks off a week of racing at the TT. And when that flag drops, anything can happen.